Hello and welcome to episode 187 of Gamers of a Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Burgess, and joining me as always is the other spark on the pod, Mr. Stephen Carter. Steve, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I am very good, my friend. I'm very good. A little bit of a delay. We had some circumstances last week, which meant if you're listening to this thinking, I'm sure this should have been last week. Yes, it should have been last week, but Steve had some issues. I had some issues, so we decided to push it back this week. So apologies if we're a week late, but
Yes.
life got in the way.
Yeah, apologies, dear listeners. And I'm surprised we haven't had a message off Anthony, to be fair, because he's usually hankering for the episode to listen to on his travels. So I'm surprised we haven't had a bit of a nudge saying, is everything all right? Like, where's my episode? But yeah, I had a nightmare with kids that evening. So yeah, we sat down with all good intentions. Seb had gone to bed, then he woke up, then he was ill, and he was just like, look, this is not going to work. Like, oh, the kids on a night time are just not being the one at the minute. But thankfully, fingers crossed, touch wood, we're here tonight. He's had a good bedtime. He's over his bit of illness. So if we can get this hour and a half done, we'll be all right. We'll be fine.
I'm waiting for the screaming in the background now.
Yeah, that might be Anna. That could be Anna.
Let me out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the years when Molly, my daughter, was in special care baby unit because she was born 2 months early. And I remember one day walking in because if your child's in special care, they generally don't let them out until the day they're due. So I remember walking in there one day and going, blimey, it's quiet in here today, isn't it? And all the nurses just looked at me and went, "We don't use the Q word."
No, yeah, that's a bad word. It's like at work, you never say it. You insinuate it. You can use any other word, but never the Q word. Never ever.
Obviously, you've not been quiet because you've got 3 games on the list. Plus, you've been doing quite a few streams and quite a few social posts. So, so what have you been up to in way of gaming? What have you been playing?
Yeah, so I have been trying to keep up, to date. There's the big one which we'll collectively talk about together. I guess we've both been playing Halo Campaign Evolved, so we'll touch on that one together. But yeah, I purchased the Final Fantasy X and 10 Part 2 remake from the PlayStation Store.
Okay.
Now, everything that we said about Sony and PlayStation, which again we'll come on to a bit later with this digital future and games are too expensive on the PlayStation Store and they never get discounted and rah. That were a tenner. And I was looking, I'd put it on a boomerang list and there's a long wait because it's a PS4 disc, it's not on PS5. And I looked at Computer Exchange and a second-hand copy was about 16 quid, I want to say. I thought, you know what, I'll look on PlayStation Store. Let's have a look. And it were a tenner. I'm like, hang on a minute, there's a game that's cheaper than buying it physically, albeit second hand, but still it was cheaper. So I'm like, winner. So yeah, so I picked that up for a tenner. And I've been playing that a lot on the Portal recently,
Right.
which I must admit, for the issues that I faced with the Portal early on when we started recording, it seems to be behaving a lot better recently. And I don't know if it's because I've moved my PlayStation. So my PlayStation is now in the kitchen underneath the desk where I'm recording now in my home working setup. And the router is like just across the corridor in a cupboard. So
Right.
I don't know if that means because there's a shorter distance to the
Yeah.
PlayStation to the router, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I've been playing. I mean, I absolutely loved Final Fantasy X when I was younger. Like it's one of my absolute core memories of playing on the PlayStation 2. Obviously, I played Final Fantasy 7 on PS1, 8, 9 on PS1. Then 10 was the first sort of full blown Final Fantasy with dialogue, as in like speech, not just text. It expanded the world quite extensively. So yeah, it's like one of my all time favourite games. But do I prefer it over Final Fantasy VII? I'd say they're both probably up there, sort of joint. It's just Final Fantasy VII was probably one of the first games I played on PlayStation, so that'll always be sort of the core memory. But this is kind of the best. Well, I say the best, but obviously the first time they dabbled into that, the full blown speech rather than text and so on and so forth. So yeah, I've been playing that and I've been really enjoying going back. It's a remaster, it's not a remake, so obviously it's nowhere near the levels of the Final Fantasy VII remake because I've that one's rebuilt from the ground up. It's just basically the old game with a lick of paint, tarted up a little bit to obviously play better on the PS4 and the PS5. Still turn based, which I still prefer the turn-based Final Fantasy. I'll say it, for as much as I love the Final Fantasy VII remasters or remakes, I still like the turn-based element. I think it's quite strategic. The free-flowing combat in the remakes is great, but I do prefer the turn-based element of it. So yeah, so I've probably sunk where it was about maybe 15 hours
All right. Okay.
into Final Fantasy X. Like I say, I'm playing it on the portal, so I am just managing to play it on the sofa a little bit. So like after we finish tonight, if Anna's watching whatever on TV, I'll probably go and sit and play it for about another hour or two on there. But yeah, it's just really nice to be back. It'd be great to see, a proper redone version of it, like Final Fantasy VII. Whether we will or not, I don't know, because obviously there's a third part of the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy to come. What Square Enix do with Final Fantasy after that, I'm not sure, because it really, I after 10 and 10 Part 2, which 10 Part 2 was a bit nyeh in comparison. I didn't really dabble much with Final Fantasy after that, if I'm being honest. So like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I kind of didn't really go into that territory. Like 10 was probably the last one that I probably played and loved, and completed several times. So whether this makes me go back and play the other ones again, I'm not sure, or for the first time, I'm not sure. But I've got a bit of a hankering to go back and play some older games, like obviously playing the new stuff like Halo and all the other stuff that we've got coming up. Whether it's just because I'm getting of an age where I'm like, oh, I remember how great games used to be, and da da da. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to, the same way Kingdom Hearts again. I've been playing that again. Again the trilogy on the PS4. I just recently wanted to mix it up again. I don't know why, but yeah, just as well as playing the new shiny stuff, I've kind of just got a bit of an appreciation for coming back and playing some of the older games again.
Well, I know you said when we were, when I've not done for a little while since Halo. When we were doing like the first looks, the sort of the first hour of a new game. I know you said then about going back potentially through the catalog and streaming some, Xbox 360 or Xbox One games, or just doing some older stuff. I mean, I've got to admit, I don't think I've ever played a Kingdom Hearts game, and I don't think I've ever played a Final Fantasy game. I don't know why. Kingdom Hearts sort of appeals to me, but I've just never got round to it.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, I don't know why, but whenever I see Final Fantasy, I mean, I can remember seeing Final Fantasy at was it EGX when I was up there with Anthony and James? Was that 2019? I think it was. It was 2019 because it was the same year as the Copper Box Arena, the Xbox one. I remember seeing it and everybody was raving about it. Oh, this is going to be amazing, and I'm just like, it just does nothing for me. I don't know why. I don't know. I need to get in and play. I mean, I've dabbled. I think when one of them's come to Game Pass or PS Plus or something like that, I've jumped in and played. But maybe a little bit like Ghost of Yotai recently. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset. Maybe I'd fatigued on Assassin's Creed. That's why I didn't really like Yotai. I don't know. I probably need to go back and try again. But they've not really just appealed to me for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, and the problem is now as well is like, especially Kingdom Hearts, as much as I absolutely love Kingdom Hearts, it hasn't, the first one especially hasn't aged well. Like,
Right.
it's a struggle. Like the camera's a struggle, the combat's a struggle. I haven't finished it. I've got to a point now where I know that I'm at the point where I need to grind to finish or defeat the final boss, and I'm like, I'm happy to park it there for now. It's done what I needed to do. I've done all the worlds. I've completed all the worlds. I know how this ends because I've completed it X number of times already. I would be happy to skip on to Kingdom Hearts 2 now at this point. I haven't played that, so that obviously improves things from Kingdom Hearts 1. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1's not aged very well. Kingdom Hearts 3 is obviously the one that came out on like sort of Xbox One, PS4, so that obviously is better in terms of its graphics and things. So it's hard because obviously the story's convoluted as it is. So even if you play it and enjoy it from the first one, it's hard to follow. So even if you play Kingdom Hearts 3 just as a dabble, that would probably give you an idea of what it's like, really. And I think really, as well as much as anything, it's like with any RPG as well, aside from Final Fantasy, it's like, have you got the time to commit to it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a very big time element attached to this. That this probably will run about 30 hours, maybe Final Fantasy 10, and again, I might get to the point of the final boss battle and be like, look, I've done what I need to do without having to grind to get the ultimate weapons, and everyone gets to highest level and upgrade all the spells and so on and so forth. So we'll see. I'll see how far it goes. But yeah, I definitely want to, like you said, go back and play some of the older 360 games that are in the Game Pass catalog. Um, I've got I've got a couple of the old Tom. I've got the Rainbow Six Vegas.
Right.
I've got those two, 1 and 2. I've got Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 1 and 2, I think. Which again, I want to go back to that I played back in the day when they first launched. So yeah, so I just want to just play some older things that I've either missed or I've played before. Just to change it up a little bit, I think. It's for as great as it's having the new stuff. I just kind of want to go back and re-experience the games that we had before, which again tying into the whole Sony piece and maybe the Xbox piece of going discless. Well, a lot of people might do the same. If consoles are getting more expensive and pricing people out, well, you might find an influx of people going back, well, I'm going to buy a 360, I'm going to buy a PS3, and scoop up all the cheap games that are at Computer Exchange, because all the games there are like a couple of quid, if that. So you can have an absolute catalogue of PS3 games or Xbox 360 games for not a lot of money. So yeah, we'll see.
It was funny because I was just literally looking on YouTube now because you're talking about retro stuff. There's a guy on YouTube called Retro Rick.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's got two channels by the looks of it, Retro Rick and Retro Rick Game Point. And I've fallen across some of his videos where he's going to some of these expos where I can imagine James walking around these places with a smile on his face, where they've got like Game Boy games, they've got like NES, they've got like, Super Famicom, they've got standees of Mario that would have been in Blockbuster. I mean, I even saw him talking to the other day, trying to barter what was it? It was a gumball machine from a Blockbusters that, used to be in a Blockbusters that he was trying to do. And that was quite cool because going back and looking some of the retro games, look at some of like the Space Invader games, the early Mario games, the early Sonic games, and just some of the weird things like they were talking about a Lethal Weapon game which came out on the N64, and
Yeah.
he's like, it's bloody terrible, but I've not got it in my collection, so I need to buy this. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes, just go back. I mean, even if it's like 2025 and 2024, I mean, there's games on Game Pass that, even like up until quite recently, Avowed, I've not played Avowed yet. I know it's a recent game, but it's one I keep on wanting to go back and play. But go back a few years ago and look at those, especially if you're paying for Game Pass, especially if you're paying for PS Plus. Go back and have a look at some of those retro titles. It's not retro, but those retro being a few years ago titles, because there is some really good stuff out there. I think for me, with like your Kingdom Hearts and your Final Fantasy, I think my mindset is like they're into so deep now in the sort of like chronological age of them. Like, do you know what? I don't want to go back. And I hate to say it, but unless it's retro, my mindset is it's an old ass game is old type of thing. It's like, I like it to be shiny graphics, like what we're going to get onto in a minute. I like it to make my OLED pop, or my my small monitor up here. Yeah, so I think there's a place for them, and one day I may, when I've retired. I don't think I'll ever retire, but when I retired. But no, it's good sometimes just go back and look at those fond memories again.
Yeah, of course it is, and I think there's a lot of it, like you say, with these two especially, that if you missed them first time around, you're probably not going to play them. Like, if you don't have the connection, there's probably no point, and there's probably no pull to go do it. But yeah, there's a lot of these retro expos around. There's two that I know of that are near me. There's one at Doncaster Dome that comes around every year. I think that's just been recently, I think. And there's usually one in Leeds as well. The same, there's just stands and stands of people selling Game Boys, PS2s, 3s, 1s, NES, SNES, absolutely everything, Pokemon cards, the old stuff. As we know, I tried shifting some of my old gear recently to Computer Exchange, which they gave me an absolute rock bottom price for, and I was like, absolutely not. I've got a sealed Game Boy Advance SP, and like not sealed, sorry, boxed Game Boy Advance. Like, it's got everything with it, leaflets, charger, the works. Oh yeah, we can't sell it at a boxed price. I'll give you, like, why? It's literally boxed.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, but it's like, I know you'd sell that at a boxed price. You'll give me rock bottom, and I know you'll sell it at a boxed price, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I have got some stuff, and it's like I ain't got anywhere to put it and display it. I ain't got a games room. I ain't got a man cave. So it's like, do I hold on to it? Do I not? And then it's obviously it's the pain. So obviously you've got to have either an old school TV, then you've got to have an HDMI converter, and da da da. It's not that easy to play them these days unless you've got a full blown dedicated setup. Which if you look on TikTok and Instagram, there are people who've got some absolutely brilliant man caves with this stuff in it, and just look at enviously like I want that. Like, please, like a bit like your background, Stu. Like, it's just an old CRT TV in the middle with
Yeah.
the old consoles underneath, and then stacks and stacks of old games. Just like, yeah, that would be nice.
When it was, I mean, my brother-in-law, he's still got his N64 with GoldenEye, and he's still got his Lerva cathode ray tube TV, and it's always hooked up to it. And I sort of said to him, you can get that like on Xbox now. You can get that on the modern consoles. He said, "Oh, there's nothing better than sitting with a SNES remote, a controller." Wired into the drive, connected to a cathode ray tube TV, which is only 32 inches, but it's like as wide as it is
It
deep.
weighs about 5 tons.
But it was actually one of the videos I watched of the Retro Rick thing. He found the title of the video is "After 27 years of game collecting, I finally found it," and he was trying to find a Game Boy Color, I think it was. I can't quite see from the picture. It was a Game Boy Color, but it was a Tommy Hilfiger limited edition or something like that.
Oh wow.
And I can't remember now what he paid for it. I'll go back and look. I'll put it on the screen now. But he's like, I think that was sort of $400-500 or something like that. And that was used, but it was boxed. But yeah, I was thinking to myself, there's no way he's going to get that in computer exchange if he takes it in.
No way. They always try and drive you down on price, but yeah, there we go. So yeah, watch out for more retro content coming soon. Basically.
So talking about retro content in a way, we've both been playing the remake of Campaign Evolved, and we've both been dying a lot.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, like I don't know what it is. Like I've obviously I've I mean, if anyone's listening that's watched the the videos I've been putting up, I've
You've
been
been
playing
dying
it
a
on
lot.
normal, and I've been getting my absolute ass kicked on the 3 new levels that have been introduced to this remake, and I've since completed them, and I'm playing the normal campaign missions now, and it doesn't seem to be anywhere near as difficult. Like there are spikes. Like I played the mission where you infiltrate the Covenant battle cruiser to rescue Captain Keyes.
Yeah.
And the bits where you just got in the hangar, like they were just absolute swarm of grunts, just like in one bit, and I was like, I got absolutely overwhelmed with that. But yeah, those 3 new missions, like they're great missions. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved playing them. But the difficulty, even on normal, was just so hard. Like, and everyone's like, "Ah, yeah, it's the easiest one." Da, da, da. I'm like, really? Like, I mean, I must have got terrible at this.
I like the comment that someone put on I think it was your Instagram post, which was like, anybody else struggling with this? And someone just put, "No, mate, I've just got it straight in at heroic and finding it great."
Yeah, like skill
Just trying to
issue.
anger him.
Yeah, skill issue, zero like situational awareness. I was like, all right, like, come on now. I was like, we're a bit clickbaity, I guess, but like, this can't be me. Like, I can't be the only one that's struggling at this point, surely. But yeah, I mean, look, it's one of them. Like, this is complete fan service, really. Let's be honest. And like, this is if you want to class it as the benchmark for if you're gonna remake a game like this is how to do it. Do you know what I mean? Because this has been completely rebuilt from the ground up. Obviously, we've had the different remakes and remasters over time, and da da da. But like this is like as good as Halo is gonna ever look. And it is really good. And obviously, it's had some new bits added to it. It's obviously had the new weapons added from like Halo 2 and things. Had sprint mechanic, added to it. The 3 new prelude missions with Sergeant Johnson. It is an absolute fantastic representation of Halo, and it's great to see it in shiny Unreal 5. It's one of them. It's like, who does it appeal to? I guess is the one of the question marks of it. Obviously, die-hard fans are going to play it, and they're going to play it through Game Pass. How many people are going to pick it up on PS5? As good as it is to see it on PS5, I don't know. Will we see any more on PS5? I don't know.
I was literally just searching that, and on Pure Xbox, they've put up Halo One Remake has made around 900,000 sales on Xbox, 452,000 sales on PS5, and 212,000 sales on Steam to date. And that was today. That was 7 hours ago. So it's done well over a million across all platforms from a game that is 20 years old.
Yeah, so it's done well, I guess, if you consider that. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how many people downloaded it via Game Pass, if such figures exist.
Yeah, well, I think that also don't forget that I think some of that 900,000 potentially was that early upsale. So like
Mm.
myself and I think
Oh,
Anthony
the
as
upgrade.
well. Yeah, we paid the £20, and I think it was $20 as well to upgrade and get it. What was it? 5 days early, I think it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, so I mean, let's face it. I don't know how much it costs for them to redo it. Yeah, no, I don't think it's got it on here. I don't know how much it costs to redo it, but hey, look, a million sales. I don't even know what it's selling on PS5 for, but let's say $50 a game.
Probably around 50, I'd say.
Yeah, that's $50 million that it's potentially made across the platform. So, and it opens up the world to more potentially more Halo games coming to PS5, which again, as I said before, I don't have a problem with it. I would happily welcome PlayStation games onto the Xbox, and I think PlayStation fans should happily allow Xbox games onto the PlayStation because let's face it, you're gonna just get more games to play.
Yeah, it's what I mean. I see the argument from both sides, and I think it depends on what what day you catch me on, like how I see it. Like, there's part of me that's always like, nope, it's exclusive. If you want it, come play it. But then when consoles might be in survival mode, it's like, well, is it better not to just try and cast the net out and try and capture as many people as possible? Again, naive little me, might be like, well, it can't cost that much more to put it on PlayStation as it does to Xbox. It probably is a lot more difficult than it sounds. But again, even if you get the 450,000 sales like you have done there, well,
Yeah.
if you didn't, well, that's 450,000 sales you wouldn't have. But I guess it obviously compares against what it costs to do that. But I think another question is that, yeah, this looks great. It's fantastic. I'm going to absolutely love playing it. When and where's the next Halo? What else are we going to see from Halo? It's that thing of, yeah, this is great, but it's nothing new. Do you know what I mean? And how many people have played Halo Infinite and then jump into this? I don't know. People might have experienced Halo Infinite as the first Halo, maybe, and then they jump into this and be like, well, hang on a minute. Like, I had all this, we're open world, I had all these gadgets and gizmos and da-da-da, and then jump into this and like, oh, hang on. Like, you know what I mean? It just seems a bit of an odd, maybe timeline of things to do, but I love it. I think it's an absolute great game. It's a shame that we're not going to get a multiplayer element of Halo. If this game or another game, it'd maybe been nice if there was just a limited version of multiplayer from this, even
Yeah.
just a few maps. Just, we're not going to bring any more to it, but you've got your original maps and your original modes. That's your lot, and redo it. I think that would have captured a lot of people's interest, maybe. But yeah, just seeing it as reimagined in Unreal 5, like I say, it looks absolutely stunning. Like, it is a beautiful game. So yeah, from whatever Halo games we get going forward, if they can look this good, it's nice to see that it is in good hands and it will look the business.
I mean, I fired it up. I think it was the day it came out. It might be the day after. I can't remember, but I fired it up, and for me, it was just a massive wave of nostalgia straight out the get go.
Mm-hmm.
Firing it up, seeing that the scene where they wake up Master Chief from stasis and they bring his systems online, and then the ship gets boarded, and then the little grunts come in, and they're like with their funny little voices, and then you go down onto the ring, and it was just like it was enjoyable. It was very familiar. It was giving me very good nostalgic vibes back to the original Xbox. So, I've jumped into it a few times since, but I've not had time to sort of play a lot of it because I've been doing something else, a lot of, yeah, no, it's really good. I think that I can't really, anyway, for me, I can't think of a negative against it. I'm enjoying it. Okay, yeah, it's cost me £20. It came on Game Pass. So my buying investment is a lot less. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you've played it on Steam or you've played it on PlayStation, let us know. What are you thinking of it? Have you enjoyed it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's a waste of money? I'd be interested to hear what people's opinions of it, because as an Xbox player, as well as a PlayStation and Nintendo player, but as an Xbox player and as an original OG Xbox player, I've really, really, really enjoyed it. And I think Anthony has as well, talking to him on the chat. Yeah, it's been really good fun. And I've just enjoyed going onto TikTok and watching you die a lot. So, what more can you get out for your 20 quid?
Exactly, mate. I'm here to entertain. Do you know what I mean? So, and yeah, I have got the PS5 version on my Boomerang list because I will happily go back and play on
Right.
PS5.
Okay.
And I have seen that it does play better on PS5 or PS5 Pro
On the
than
Pro,
the
yeah.
Xbox, which is interesting. Given it's obviously a original Xbox exclusive. So again, whether that opens a door for more in future on PlayStation or not, who knows? But yeah, it's nice to see it on a different console. It'd be nice to play it on a different controller. And I'll happily play the campaign again.
I know, sort of segueing onto mine, but I know Forza Horizon 5, when that came out on PlayStation, a lot of people were saying, with the haptic feedback on the DualSense, that it sort of brought another life to Forza. Can't remember if Anthony played it. I got a feeling he did, but I know they were saying with the haptic feedbacks and the DualSense sort of like triggers and that, it was just a bit, sort of gave it a bit more of a dimension than what it was on the Xbox. But talking about Forza, so if you rewind back, well, 3 weeks ago, I said to you, I've noticed that I've not opened a single wheel spin since I started the game, whenever it came out. I can't remember when it came out now. And I think I had like, I can't think what was now. I think it was getting on for 200 or 190 wheel spins or something like that. So I thought, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just carry on playing the game? So I completed everything. I really got deep in doing the seasons, because I read the achievement list again, and I realized that actually you don't have to complete everything in the game to unlock the last achievement. The last two difficult achievements are get to level 100 or by playing online, which is perfectly achievable if you just play a lot of online games. And then the other one was literally getting all the points in the seasonal playlist. So every Thursday they bring up a new seasonal playlist, which is, do this series of races, go online and do this. And you get points, you unlock cars. And so I've sort of been grinding my way towards that, doing online, really, really enjoying it, taking photographs of cars I've not seen, sort of working my way up to what I thought was going to be the 200 wheel spin sort of like video. Maybe I was going to do. I wasn't sure, and then I started searching around on YouTube, and I found out that like unboxing wheel spin type things, if you think of it along the lines of like Pokemon cards, unwatching wheel spin type things was a bit of a thing, and it was also getting pretty good views. So I'm like, oh, well, I wonder how they're getting so many wheel spins. And then I found a couple of little workarounds. They're not cheats. You're not like, putting in the code or back in, the Capcom games where it's like, square, 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 X, 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 up to unlock infinite battle mode or something like that. I started watching these few videos and I was like, oh, okay, well, what about if I do it on Sunday and I can't see how I'm going to unlock 200 wheel spins by Sunday? So what about if I see if I can find a way to earn more wheel spins? So I did find a way how to earn more wheel spins. And annoyingly, I didn't do the video that Sunday because the girls weren't out. So I thought, well, okay, I'll do it the next Sunday. So all of sort of last week, I was playing around with it and doing this thing, which I'll say in a minute, about what to do. And then towards the end of that week, I was working from home and I suddenly thought, hold on a second, I've got an idea. So how you basically do it is you go into like the labs in Forza, and then you basically you go into the section where you put in a share code. So there's a share code which I'll put up on the screen now. And if you go into the events lab and you go into play a challenge, I think it is, and you put this code in, what you basically do is you spend 27 seconds crashing through a load of like obstacles, which gives you times 10 skill points. You have to buy a certain car and unlock the mastery from them, but it gives you 10. And then every time you then go redo, 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 it gives you 10 points. So all of a sudden, when you look at your skill points in like the back end of Forza, you realize that every time you do a route on it, you're getting 10 points. So all of a sudden, you've got 20, 30, 100, 200, 300. And then what you then do is you then take your skill points and then you basically go into the shop or to the, you know, the car store, and you do what I've been doing is one of two things. So to get wheel spins, you buy a Mazda. It's a Mad Mike 1974 Mazda. And what you do is you buy that Mazda for, I think it's 95,000 credits. You then buy it, go straight into the skill mastery, and then you unlock like along a bit up and then along, and then you get a free super wheel spins. You get 3 wheel spins. But the problem is your wheel spins obviously go down, but so does your credits. So then I started looking around a little bit more, and I'm like, how can you earn more credits in the game to sort of fund this obsession for wheel spins? See where this is going, how obsessed I am with these things. But then I found that if you buy a Dodge Viper, it's actually, I've got it on the screen, it's a Dodge Viper GTS ACR, and it's 64,000 credits. And then again, if you buy that and you go into Car Mastery, and then within the Car Mastery, you don't unlock a wheel spin, you actually unlock 150,000 credits. So, the car has actually cost you 64,000 credits, but you've got 150,000 credits. So you've made the profit between the two. So what I started doing was just like, okay, so if I unlock 5 Mad Mike Mazdas, that gives me 5 wheel spins. If I then unlock 5 Dodge Vipers, that gets my money back up. That was fine, and I was doing that, and it was creeping up, and it was creeping up, and then me being able to do the video got further and further and further away. So I just started grinding, and I've sort of got to the point now where like I will grind 1,000 skill points, and then go and spend that 1,000 skill points on a Mad Mike's Mazda, so I think you get about 30, 35 cars, so 30, 35 wheel spins. Then go back into the skill things and then grind another 1,000 skill points, and then buy the same amount of Dodge Vipers. So you'll have like 2 million credits, and then you'll lose those 2 million credits, and then you skill grind back to 2 million credits again. And actually, this is so sad, but what I've actually started doing now was I've actually in the mornings, I'm getting my ROG and I put it up on the arm next to me. So it's sort of like, if you look at the camera, it's sort of like here, because actually if you put the car in auto drive, you don't need to look at the screen apart from when it vibrates and tells you it ends, and then you go repeat. And then it vibrates till it starts. You just put your foot on the accelerator and the car just auto drives. And this is now taking me down a massive rabbit hole of like, my Facebook feed is full up of Forza Horizon videos and people telling about how you can craft your way to XP, you can buy and trade cars and all this lot. It's taken over my life, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to you for doing that, Stu, because I mean, this is almost like next level sort of commitment to Forza. Obviously, I'm still not quite there with it yet. I'm still quite not forgiving it to the point where I'm happy to go back. But I mean, the fact that you figured out a way to do it without even having to necessarily drive, apart from set it off and stop and then go again. I mean, that's just like mining of the next level, isn't it? Really, just like, yeah, just earn me points, make me money.
Well, the thing is, I don't actually have to think about it, because it takes about an hour and a half to grind 1,000 skill points on the ROG. And it's just like, I don't know why. I'm trying to think of how you can analogize it, but it's almost like my mind has now got, my mind now listens to those two like buzzes. It does. So one buzz to tell me that it's finished, and then one buzz to tell me that you've got to press the accelerator again now. And like today, I sat. And I suppose the only analogy I can think is like when you drive. You know, sometimes you'll drive for like 20 minutes or half an hour, and you go, I don't remember any of that.
Yeah. How did I get here?
Yeah, and it's like that. I'm watching this guy on YouTube cycling from Alaska to Argentina. He's been doing it for about 2-3 years, and I've sort of caught up or catching up with his videos. And like today, I must have watched 2 of his videos, one of his videos at lunch, and then I just carried on. And literally, my arm was just on the side, and I'm just like, start again. The only thing you do is you do have to sort of like lift the screen up, because sometimes, even though it's an automated driving, it does fail. So annoyingly, if you press like complete when it's failed, you have to go out and come back in again. And the thing is, it's like an 8 or 9 or 10 digit code. And it's a bit like in the old days when you had to type your phone number in. I can now remember that code without looking at it, and it's a 10-digit code. That's how sad it's got.
Oh dear. So how many wheel spins are you at now?
I think I'm just done. I think I'm 550 now.
Good grief.
So I think I'm 301 normal wheel spins, because when you go up, because obviously what happens is when you do a car mastery, quite often the first one you buy gives you 5,000 XP. So I think I'm at star level 2, so that's when it puts like a little exclamation mark and a star next to your level. So I'm star level 2, level 50. So yeah, because I'm obviously also earning XP by doing that. But it got to a point where it's just like, I mean, it's like my bloody points. It's just got to a point where I'm like, well, I can't do it, so I might as well just carry on driving and carry on doing it. And I'm not just doing that all the time. I've sort of got myself a bit of a set routine now, where I'll get up in the morning. Those cars that I've sort of had to buy, I've sold on the auction. So I'll cash my auctions in, or if the car's not sold, I'll gift it to someone in the game. And then I'll then play like half an hour or so, or an hour of online driving, because they're the only 2 achievements I need now. So online driving, and then quite often then I'll go, right, I'll make myself a cup of coffee, and I'll then sit down and just grind 1,000 points out whilst I'm watching or typing emails with my left hand. But yeah, and then like the other day, either up to right now, it got to the point where I had something like, you get a wheel spin every day for checking in if you're a VIP member, I think it is. And then obviously you get, for every 3rd level, you get a wheel spin. So I think my current normal wheel spins is about 301-ish, something like that. And then my super wheel spins, the 3 wheel spins in one, I think at the moment they're 233. But I'm sort of looking at it going, oh, it'd be nice if they were 250 and then the other one was 250, but now the other one's 300 and the other one's 233. I'm like, well, maybe if I then try and get the other one to 300 and they're both 300, but I know that the other one won't stay at 300 because I keep on earning wheel spins. So I'm desperate for the wife and daughter to go out on Sunday so I can do this bloody video of like unboxing of wheel spins and show people how I've done it, because it is benefiting the game. I mean, there's a lot of cars in the game you can only get through wheel spins, and I have decided, apart from drifting, if anybody can do drifting, please reach out, because I can't drift for toffee. I mean, I've got some really cool drift cards with some really cool download codes, and I can't.
It's sat there unused, all shiny and not even driven once.
I mean, I put one up on the chat. I'll try and put it up on this video. I put one up on the chat the other day with the group, and it was like, I had to get 155,000 or something like that. And I literally just stumbled across the line as it turned over to 155,000 to unlock the last point I needed in the Yokohama region or something like that to get that achievement. But no, I mean, I'm really enjoying the game. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I've decided I want to try and collect all the cars, do all the photographs, unlock all the houses, and I'm getting my money's worth from the game, which I've always done with Forza, but I've never gone to this degree with Forza. And there are some really, really cool. There's like a super utility Ford 150, I think it is, and it's like a monster truck, and it's bloody amazing driving that thing around. It eats up the jumps. You literally luzz it off the side of a hill and it just bounces down the hill. And of course, then you turn on you can't crash masteries and all that lot, and you just skill points just rack up.
Just driving over everything, just like yeah, just don't even matter anymore now.
I'm really enjoying it. I am enjoying online racing. Some of it does frustrate me a little bit where, the other drivers don't drive, they just crash into you, when you're trying to do a clean race or something like that. But no, I'm really, really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, and like you say, especially when you've upgraded to the sort of Ultimate Edition as well, not that it kind of forces you or pushes you to get the most out of it, but obviously that investment's worth it, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That you're absolutely rinsing it for everything that it can give you. And that you're actually doing that is brilliant. I'm desperately waiting for the day when you can do that stream, because I'm like, well, how long have you got? Like 500 wheel spins? Like, how long is that going to take? Like, I know the wheel spins are pretty quick, but that's a long stream of just wheel spins. That must be at least 2 hours, maybe.
No, there's a guy called MJ, I think it is, his YouTube channel. He's the sort of guy that I've been watching quite a few of his videos, which because they've been quite interesting. So the first question is, do you do the whole classic, hit the space bar or the A button start and then force it to stop, or do you let it run? So obviously, yeah, if you let it run, it's going to go on for a while. I think he did 1,000 wheel spin opening. And that took him an hour and 20 minutes, I think. But then he sort of did I don't know, whatever it was, like 100,000 sub stream where he did 1,000 wheel spins whilst answering questions from people that he, follow him, type of thing. I think that I could probably do it in half hour, maybe 40 minutes, maybe.
Been mashing that button to just skip.
And I think it's quite interesting because there's just because of like Facebook throwing up Facebook accounts on Forza, there's a lot of people out there who are trying to unlock certain cars which you can only get by knowing how to get them. For instance, if you've got like a Porsche Carrera GT, and then you unlock, and then you go into its mastery and unlock it, you get a special version of a Porsche Carrera GT or an older version. I can't remember now, but there's certain ways you can only unlock certain cars in the game. So there's obviously a base. I mean, and this kid, this MJ guy, I think he said he nearly quit doing YouTube a year ago, and all he's done in a year is like Forza streams, and he's got over 100,000 followers. So it's almost like, actually, I'm quite interested to see. For me now, it's almost become, I want to rinse the game, including the drifting, which I'll leave to the end. I want to complete everything you can within the game, get all the achievements, unlock all the prizes and everything in it. As you said, because the upgrade cost, I think it was £50 this year or £60. So for me, it's a full price game, so I want to get my money out of it. And also, always as well at the moment is that life's quite busy, so actually just jumping into Forza every now and again, and whether it's grinding or unlocking, has been quite good. And I'm quite intrigued to see. I'm gonna go into it. I'm gonna probably do it on Sunday. I'm gonna record it. I'm not gonna stream it. I'm gonna record it. I'm probably gonna go, right, okay, this is how many cars I've got. This is how much money I've got. What do we get after we've opened these, 500 wheel spins or whatever it'll be? I have learned one tip, which is, if you can afford to, go in and buy all of the clothes from the shop before you start using your wheel spins, because if Forza seems to have a thing where it will give you things you haven't got over things that you have got initially. So obviously, if you haven't bought all the clothes in the shop, then it will start just giving you random domestic clothes. And I think it costs about 2 million credits to buy all the clothes in the shop, which actually is pretty easy to get 2 million credits if you farm skill points, or, if you've got a bit of money in there, buy a car and resell it. Because there's actually quite a trend in there of people who just sit on the shop, on the auction, and will pick up cars. I mean, I stupidly sold what was it? I can't think what it was. A Saline a sailing car the other day.
Yeah.
I stupidly sold it for 35,000 credits when it's a 900,000 credit car.
I bet somebody couldn't believe that, could they? Like, buy.
But I'm not the only person that doesn't put a high. I didn't put a high enough reserve on it, basically. But there are people who just shift cars on, like Forza Edition, 911s or whatever, for which are 1,000,000 credits, and they'll just get rid of them at 20,000 credits because they don't need the points. So for me, actually, it's now almost turned into I wonder what I can get out of all these wheel spins, and how much credits can I earn, how many cars can I get, and can I complete my Rolodex? Can I complete all my cars by doing these 500, or well, actually it's more like 1,000, isn't it? Or because if 3 wheel spins and I've got so it's going to be like 3, 6, 900. Yes, it's going to be more like 1,000 wheel spins in one way or another. I think it's going to be quite interesting to see what the hell it does.
Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't get you inducted into some sort of Forza Hall of Fame, or pull us in a massive amount of views and listeners and subscribers, shoot, I mean, no pressure. But if this is what the people want, then more wheel spins, more XP, more of this, please. Yeah, just keep milking it for everything that it's got.
Well, I think we said before, Playground are in the UK, so when we do Forza Horizon 7, because we're both in the UK, when we do Forza Horizon 7, I'm going to invest my time into Forza Horizon 6, and we want inviting up to Playground, and we could do a podcast from the studio, and then we could do a live play session or something like that. Just throwing it out there like I do with my other job.
Yeah. No, let alone Forza next DLC, whatever it is whatever it is, Playground. We know you're listening. Like we expect that invite in the post. Like, come and have a look around, come and have a chat, come and see what we're working on. Yes, because obviously they're working on Fable.
Yes, true. True.
So there's always Fable to think about, Stu. So yeah. When you listen to this, Playground, we'll be tagging you heavily. Like we'll spam you with notifications. Don't worry about that.
So talking about obsessions and me, basically. So right, I'm going to give you a points update because they've moved on a bit. So the last time we did a points update, I had 765,527. And as of just before we podded, ready? I have 791,848 points. So that's jumped up 3,000, just under 3,000 points. So on a monetary value, they are now worth £638.69 if that's in Xbox vouchers, up from £617.46. And if you look at the dot clip very closely, I've grayed it out and I haven't brought it back up at the moment. I need 869 credits to unlock the Helix if it's going to cost 700 quid.
That's a very big if.
Yeah, I think if they release that in 2032 or 2033, that might cost 700 quid. But as we get onto one of our stories a little bit later, that's a pie in the sky thinking if we think that's going to be 700 quid.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've made a boo-boo with my points because I've been chipping mine in and getting the £10 vouchers, and I've been like, I'll stack them, I'll just use it for GTA. And I should have 30, but I realised yesterday, I think, that I had 20 in my account. Right. You have to spend them in 90 days.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, that first one's probably dropped off now.
Yeah, you have to spend them. This is why I've not traded them in or cashed them in. Because I know you're going to have to, and I've daren't look to see whether there's a limit on how many you could trade in a year. But I am slightly nervous about that much money sitting in mystical points on my account, and I do think GTA is going to come my way due to my points because I can't see me achieving what we set out, which was the next console we bought with Microsoft points, because the next console ain't going to cost 700 quid. No. Never. Not in
no way.
If it's going to come out in 27 or even 28, I think with Ramageddon and all these prices going up, I'll give you an example. I saw an advert for a U-Green NAS, 4-bay NAS, which I was going to buy for my photography, for my videography, if I do on the day job, just so I could cancel Dropbox and all those sort of online subscriptions. And I remember looking at it about a year ago. I think I remember looking at it about a year ago, and I think that the drive itself was about 500 quid, but that's just a shell. Then to upgrade to do the storage up to sort of like, I think it was like 24 terabytes in each drive. So so 24 in each drive, and then basically obviously upgrading in the actual speed of the machine. I think it was going to cost me 1,500 quid. So 1,500 quid for the memory and the SSD to make it quicker. So 2,000 all in with the whole lot. I saw an advert yesterday for the new version of it, and the new version of it is still £500 for the chassis. But to do the memory now was getting on to 6,000.
It's just mental, isn't it?
So your $9.99 a month for Dropbox for 2 terabytes is a steal at the moment.
Well, yeah, you could that basically gives you a lifetime subscription, doesn't it, for the same?
Yeah.
I'd probably still come away with some change, but yeah, it is the irony, isn't it, that we'll come on to it about the Xbox and things, but like Microsoft fueling AI is damaging its own brand and product. It's like, well, surely someone's had this thought somewhere of like, well, hang on a minute, like we've only got ourselves to blame here, surely.
Well, and I think the thing is, it's also, I saw a friend of mine post on LinkedIn the other day. Sony's profits are record. Sony have got record profits when it comes to the AI side of the business at the moment, because they're making so much money, so much revenue from the AI side of the business and that side of production that that's then putting the game console prices on, like we get onto in a minute. But actually, we're nearly an hour into this recording, so let's get on to the news. But before we get on to the news, please don't forget to rate, review, or subscribe to this podcast, whichever platform you're listening. There's also a fan mail section in both the video and the podcast. Plus, if you're watching this, I'll put it on the QR code on the screen now to send in your fan mail, send in your questions. So if you've got some feedback on the games we've been playing, or how obsessed and stupid I am to Forza and my Microsoft points, please leave your insulting comments by using that link. And we'll get straight onto the news now. And it's a busy news section. We have 6 news story with a smattering across all the platforms. But the first one is a very sad story, in my opinion. But the first one's with you, Steve.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's some concurrent news from the original headline that I found out today as well, which kind of makes it even worse, I guess. But EA, the sale of EA has finally been completed.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that one.
It's fine. Which is for a staggering $55 billion, which is just mental. Like, that's mental money. Like, for all the things that we're saying about the gaming industry and everything, like the fact that it's even sort of warranted a price tag of such an amount, which clearly shows how strong some of VA's IPs are, and how much cash they're generating, to sell $55 billion is quite staggering, really. It is sad in a lot of ways, like you say, Stu, because as we'll come on to it after I've just said this a little bit, we'll kind of see why as well. But it's been acquired by a private investment firm, Silver Lake and Affinity Partners, which are collectively referred to as the Consortium, which just sounds like some sort of dodgy video game evil company, do you know, like that generic,
Yep.
Oh, we need to take down the Consortium, just sort of, I don't know, it's just like the most vague name ever. But this is partially funded by Saudi Arabian company, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also Donald Trump's son-in-law, I think is.
Yeah, he's the one sort of like spearheading it, I believe.
Yeah, which is just like the Trump family can't just stay out of anything, can they? Just like
No.
they just can't just leave well alone. So it's like, you kind of think, oh well, this is going to be great. Maybe a cash injection, security, financially, blah blah blah. Then you look at it, Trump's involved somehow, and obviously he's going to have his sticky fingers all over this somehow, isn't he? Indirectly, Trump is going to have some involvement in this, whether he's going to make. Christ, you can just see here making like a Donald Trump simulator or some sort of Donald Trump game, can't you? Or he's going to have some cameo in like Battlefield or something. Do you know what I mean? You can just see it happening in some way, shape, or form, like he did in Home Alone. He's going to make an appearance somewhere.
It'll be in The Sims. It'll be in The
Yeah,
Sims 4. That's what
like,
it'll be. They'll recreate what's that hideous building in New York? Trump Towers.
mm,
They'll remake Trump Towers. Donald Trump. I mean, for me, it's like it's completely hypocritical of him. Let's say, without trying to get too political, because it's like it's all American. We don't trust anybody. We got to buy American. Every product you buy has got to be American. I think you still can't buy DJI products that got Bluetooth in them in America because it's made by, the Chinese. But all of a sudden, it's great to take a company which I believe was predominantly American, and then leverage a load of money from Saudi to buy this American company and make it multi-global. And then the other thing, which is just after it says where in the article where it refers to the consortium, it goes, the 55 billion deal is the biggest leverage buyout ever, which has seen 20 billion added to EA's overall debt. So
mm.
by buying this, EA are actually 20 billion in debt more than they were beforehand. So how can that be good for the platform? How's that going to give us good games?
It's almost like when Glazers bought Man U, isn't it? Like,
Yep.
we've bought we've bought the football club, but we've saddled the club with all our own debt. It's like, well, thanks for that. Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for just a little plaything now. But obviously there's a concern of the Saudi ownership of, obviously, like we say, with Sims and inclusivity and the themes and, all that sort of question mark as well. But then something else that came as a further sort of addition to this news story is that, it might be hunky dory, but I'm guessing which is part of the debt that it's been saddled with. There's going to be job losses at EA from this. So while everyone thought, it's going to be great, and it's like, no, I'm going to be out of a job now as well. Brilliant. Thanks for that. Great.
Yep.
Okay. Which, people don't want to lose jobs, and you don't want people to lose jobs. But if it goes south following the ownership, it might not necessarily, in hindsight, retrospectively further on, it might not necessarily be a bad thing. But obviously, you don't want people to lose jobs, and you don't want to lose people from the gaming industry. And hopefully, if there are job losses, just like with Xbox, they find their feet elsewhere. But yeah, it's like, yep, we've bought it. Trump's involved. Job losses. EA is now massively in debt. Blah blah blah. Is that going to mean cut funding? We're going to stop more, experimental, projects and things, and just stick with FIFA because FIFA, Madden, the cash cow games.
Yeah,
Are they just going to stick with
game,
that?
yeah.
Because if that's where the money's at, well, they might just think, well, we're just going to double and triple down on that then. Rinse it for every penny that it's got, and lose the small. Because EA went through a phase at one time. They made some great games. They had all sorts of little developers in there.
Unraveled was a phenomenal game which came out of that, and I think the thing is, I hate to say, you can see, like, when Microsoft or other studios bought other studios. So when Microsoft bought a studio or Sony bought a studio, you can understand sometimes people will get laid off. And, so maybe like someone in HR or someone in an administrational role might get laid off because that's now handled by the bigger company. It happens in every business, regardless of whatever sector it's in. But when a consortium is buying a studio that doesn't own any other studios, as far as I'm aware, and they've bought the studio, saddled it with more debt. Okay, the people that owned it are now worth a shitload of money, and the shareholders are probably happy. But they've bought this company, they've saddled it with debt. They're going to lay people off, which means those games that we quite enjoyed, like Unraveled, like, are we going to get the last installment of the Star Wars game? Because that was always supposed to be 3. So is that going to get cut? Is that in development? I know that doesn't compare anything to people losing their jobs, but how can this have gone through regulationally, been passed through regulations? Oh, well, hold a second, because Trump's involved in it.
It all boils down to the old cold hard cash, doesn't
Yeah.
it? But I saw something separately, I think, again, as I didn't put it in there, but didn't one of the big wigs in the year, like his bonus went from 8 million to like 30 million or something?
Yep.
It's like, well, great, you've laid a load of people off. All right, well, it's their money, basically. And it's like, what? It's like, there was something around here where, like, the CEO Yorkshire Water or something. They got a bonus of £600,000 for securing more investment, like a partnership or something. It's like, well, for what? They're doing the job.
Hmm.
They got 600 grand for doing their job. Like £600,000 as a bonus on top of what the stupid money they're already getting paid.
Yeah.
Like he's getting 30 million extra dollars to laying people off. How's that right? Do you know what I mean? It just does. It just the whole thing just does not sit right.
And now it's private. It's only going to get worse because you're not really looked over as a private company
No,
within reason. So, I mean, obviously, if you're a limited company in this country, you have HMRC, and that will look over you. Generally, touch wood, only if you do something wrong and you raise their suspicions. But yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes, but it just put shivers down my spine. Let's put it that way.
yeah, it doesn't. It seems like a great news story, but actually, when you dig a little deeper, it's like, well, actually, this if anything good comes out of it, I'll be shocked.
Well, I'm going to come on to a happy story now. Oh, well, hold on a second. No, I'm
Oh,
not.
hang on.
So this is an IGN story. Final nail in the coffin. Xbox price rises revealed, leaving fans stunned as the Series X and S spike more than a third in Europe. So this goes back to a story that I think we discussed back in June, where Microsoft announced that price rises were coming up, and that they'd announced, I think, that the American prices were going up, but they hadn't announced what the European prices were. So as the story continues, in the US, Microsoft previously stated that the 512 gigabyte Series S would rise to $100. Sorry, rise by $100, whilst the 1 terabyte Series models would rise by a further 150. Increases that equate to around about £74 or £111, and the 2 terabyte model will be discontinued completely. But in the UK and mainland Europe, the actual prices in pounds and euros is much steeper. The 512 gigabyte Series S has jumped from £299 to £429, an increase of £130, whilst its 1 terabyte model has increased from £349 to £512, and that's a leap of £170. Worse still, the increases for the Series X models with the 1 terabyte digital up from 449 to 619, which is £170 increase. But the 1 terabyte disc model goes up from £449 to £669, a whopping 48% increase and a £220 difference.
It's just
Yeah.
mental, isn't it? It's just crackers. Like they said there, like they're clearly stopping doing the 2 terabyte one because that would just be even more stupid money. At what point do they just say we're just going to stop making them for now?
Well, you can't get them. You can't find them. I mean, I had a look yesterday across some platforms, and the only thing you could do at the moment is buy official refurbs off like Amazon. No one's got I don't think anybody's got new consoles at the moment.
It's just like obviously like I try and buy both consoles if I can, which I appreciate is a very fortunate situation to be in. I couldn't get a PS5 at launch when it first came out, so I had to wait a little bit afterwards for an Anna pick me up for my birthday the following year. Um, so I'm lucky that I have both. But I'd struggle to afford one at that price. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a big commitment. Do you know what I mean? It's like £669 just for the model of Xbox that obviously that I have now. It's a lot, and obviously I get that things cost more money and the world we're in and cost of production, blah blah blah. But for an what is fundamentally what now 5, 6 year old console?
It was 6 years, yeah, yeah, because it was holiday, wasn't it? Holiday 2000. Sorry, 2020.
2020, yeah. So and I get that it's new, but obviously it's still using older spec parts. But it's an old console. Do you know what I mean? It's 6 years old and it's outdated. Do you know what I mean? So, and I know you get that with consoles, but that's why they usually come down in price. You get the slimline version, you get the elite version or pro version, obviously whatever you get. But at some point, someone surely has got to think, what we can't keep making them at this price. No one's buying them. Surely no, because obviously like now it's like people will be thinking, oh, I'll get a Series S as my second Xbox just to stream from somewhere, in the second bedroom or in the whatever. But at that price, you're like, no, like I'm just not going to bother. Like it's silly money.
There's a really interesting video which I came across whilst flicking through YouTube the other day, and it's by a YouTuber, Mr. Who's the Boss, who's a lot of people would know him, and he did. I think it's his latest video. I think it was this week, but he talks about this, and he talks about why it's costing more, but not the only reason why it's costing more, but how this is going to have a massive knock-on effect, not only in gaming but all other technology around us, which we have every day. And then obviously he then also talks about the physical discs ending type of thing, and he was spot on. I mean, his videos are pretty well researched, but he was talking about how you know manufacturers buy the chips for AI, and they buy them in certain quantities. I think they were racks or something like that. And they were talking about how the big players in AI, your Chat GPTs and your Google and your Microsoft, they're throwing so much money at AI now because they're scared to not be the one that wins at AI. That is just having a knock on effect of everything. I mean, this year we're supposed to get the Apple foldable iPhone. I got no interest in it whatsoever. I don't really see the point in foldable phones, but I mean that's going to be a $3,000-4,000 pound phone, and Apple make their own silicon, but even their own silicon's gone up in prices. So it's just, yeah. I mean, look after your Xboxes, look after your PlayStations and your Nintendo Switches, look after your PCs, and just, if you can, upgrade now if you can find one. And actually, if you're looking for a Christmas present for your son or daughter and you're listening to this, or a birthday present, buy a refurbished console. In my opinion, especially when it came to things like Skyboxes, which is a satellite service we have in the UK, the skyboxes that were touched by humans were obviously were always a lot more reliable than the ones that came from Sky. So just because it's a refurbished console, don't take it that it's a second-hand piece of rubbish. Actually, you can still get those at prices which are around, if not cheaper, than the original price. So in the UK, it was £449 for a Series X. £499 for a Series X 1 TB disc. I know you can buy that, or have been able to buy that, for £449. That's now £669. Because I think the one below here I've got in here was £449 when I bought it. It's now meaning that people are just not going to buy consoles, which means that they're not going to buy the PlayStation 6, they're not going to buy the Helix, they're not going to buy the Switch 3, because they're just going to be too expensive. And is that ultimately going to end up killing what we do, or we end up all just going to PCs?
But like you say, it affects everything. Like you say, with the iPhone, with anything that requires these components, well, people are just going to stop buying new ones. Do you know what I mean? And I have listened to a bit more recently about the whole AI race and things, and it's generally terrifying. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's so unregulated, the whole situation, that everyone's just trying to basically, it's the modern space race, basically, isn't it? That we want to be first to the moon, we want to have the best AI that controls everyone and everything. It's like, well, how's nobody like control it? How's government like not stopping this or control it? Like, say, well, actually, no. Like, this is dangerous. Like, it's scary when you think about the consequences that it could have beyond the economical side of it. But yeah, it's just, yeah, I genuinely dread to think what it will cost to buy the PS6 or the Helix, unless something drastically happens and like the pause button or the stop button's pressed imminently. It like you say, it's 1,000 to 1,200 quid, easy, is what it's going to be if you look at projected sort of costs minimum.
And you're only then going to go back to Phil's comment, which is you're going to buy the console if you can afford it. You're going to buy the console where your digital library is. So that is going to mean that majority of people are going to buy a PS6, which means that they're not going to buy an Xbox. Okay, Xbox are pretty good with their backwards compatibility, and an Xbox One still plays a lot of the games that we have today. But does that then mean that people stop buying PlayStation, stop buying Xbox? At which points the companies will just turn around and go, "Look, we're not selling enough of them." I think in the Mr. Who's the Boss video, he did a projected sort of like, 30 million consoles out there, and if only 10% buy them, that means they're only going to buy 3 million consoles. Are PlayStation going to make 3 million? Are PlayStation going to make the PS6 to sell 3 million consoles? Are Xbox going to make the Helix to sell 2 million consoles? No, they're not. They're going to get rid of it. So,
yeah.
But anyway, that's enough about those stories. Let's get on to this next one, which is I had a read of it and I still can't make it out. It's a bit of a weird one, but the next story is with you, Steve.
Yeah, well, I thought we'd just have something a bit light-hearted to break up, the serious news sections that we've had recently. So this is a Steam game that was called This Game Costs $200, which is a Steam game that actually costs $200. Now, Steam has a ceiling for cost of games, which is $200, hence the reason why this one was priced as such. Now, the person who made this, Michael Major, he released a game previously called This Game Costs $10. And then as a joke, he released this other one called This Game Costs $200. I guess just as a proof of concept of, well, would people be crazy enough to buy it? I generally don't actually know what the game is. It looks like
It looks like a Nintendo. It looks like a really bad crossover between a Nintendo game and an early version of GTA.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, this game costs $200. Went on to actually generate almost $1.3 million in revenue, which, needless to say, shocked the guy, because why wouldn't it for a game that costs $200 and looks absolutely abysmal, in the nicest way possible. But yeah, he couldn't actually believe that it had made this amount of money. So it sold 6,717 copies. So a lot of copies, but there was a problem because Steam, God love it, has got a refund or return option, and 6,707 of those 6,717 copies were returned. And what's even more strange about this whole thing is that 6,705 of those 6,707 copies were bought and refunded in China. So I think there's something strange going in this, Stu, because this seems weird to me that something must have gone on there. Like, there's not 6,705 people in China that went, "Oh, have you seen this game?" Bought it, went, "No, let's refund it." Like, there's something going on there. There has to be some underhand going on.
They might have gone to see that guy that keeps on trying to flog me Instagram followers on the direct DMs of my account. We can see you've only got 10,000 Instagram followers. Would you like 1 million? No, it will only cost you a tenner.
Or they did what that other guy did, is like, well, if I buy all these copies of GTA to sell it on, this has got to have some cult following, maybe. But yeah, so ultimately the guy was left with about $2,000 at the end of it. But yeah, it just seemed like such a strange, weird story to crop up in the news that it was like, well, it's great that he's made something that's made money, but then clearly people have seen through the thin veil of, yeah, this game is not worth $200, because what a game is. But it's just the whole bit about China as well. Like, there must have been something going on there, sure. You can't tell me there's not been something.
It's weird. Don't you think? I mean, I've seen a couple of YouTube videos, so I almost think he was trying to go down the route of. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos which have like, this YouTube video has 443,000 views, and then what happens is the person updates the profile, updates the video name every time someone has looked at it. So let's go up in 50s because my maths is better. This video's worked 50 views, so he'll update it to 50. Then it gets to 100 views, and he'll go, "This video's had 100 views," and it's almost like there's something in your brain that goes, "Oh, it's had that many views," even though you can see below how many views it's had. It makes you click on the video to see why. So I don't know whether it's like I'm trying to think of the word now. Whether it's like a subliminal type of thing. Well, it must be good if it's worth $200. But then obviously that's backfired slightly with the returns policy of Steam. And actually, I think Xbox will be the same. If you switch it, I mean, I've switched a few games on and gone, this ain't for me, and I've returned it within, a 24-hour period. And they've gone, yeah, go for it, have your money back. as you know.
I think you'd have done that pretty sharpish by looking at the screenshots of that one, Stu, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you would just literally turn it on and whiz it back over.
I would suggest.
So we're back to Sony for our next story, and again, it's a happy one. Sony not budging on the ending PlayStation physical discs in the face of fan process. We're all going to consciously move forward, says PlayStation. So this was a Kohaku video, a news article. It's been almost a month since Sony announced that the end of the PlayStation disc for the new game started in 2028. And a loud congregation of fans has continued to criticize the company for going all digital. Asked about going back on the backlash in the latest earnings call, Sony said it understands why people have strong feelings about physical games, but we're still going to move ahead and get rid of them. There are various reasons we made the decision, and the biggest being that the digitization of content overall has been progressing. And that's a big factor, says Sony's chief financial officer, Lin Tao, said through an interpreter during the Q&A in July the 31st. It's not just Sony, but all kinds of content is being digitalized and it's progressing forward. She continues, and so we think it's it's about the future. We put it in. We've put in a lot of thoughts and time and consciously considered this, and we came to the conclusion that we're going to move forward with this decision. So basically, it doesn't matter what you say as the customer.
That's a big middle finger to everybody, isn't it? Basically, but it's one of them. They've nailed the colours to the mast, and they kind of have to stick with it. I think. Do you know what I mean? They can't flip flop. You know, it's not a decision that they can make easy. Oh yeah, I'll do this, because obviously there's a cost implication of everything. Obviously, from just the parts element of it, the design of the console, everything. Do you know what I mean? It completely changed everything. So if there's some sort of firm plan on the design of the next console, they can't just go, oh, can you stick a disc drive in that, mate, please? Well, no, like you can't just stick bolt something on. You know, and it's all this like this. You know, when they do the PS5 discless, and then you can buy the separate disc. Why? Just that if you bought digital, just stick with it. Do you know what I mean? You've made that decision to go digital. Don't buy a plug-in disc drive for it. So yeah, so look, again, we covered this in depth last time. I didn't think they'd change their mind. You know, I don't necessarily like it. I can understand why they're doing it. But yeah, there's a lot of still question marks over it, isn't there? Like in terms of how much storage is that PS6 going to have? You know, how much is that storage going to cost? Can you upgrade that storage? Again, what cost is that? Because obviously the Series X, you can obviously stick the Seagate drive in it with a PS6 or something like that. You know, but again, is it something bespoke like the Xbox One, which they'll charge twice for because it's ours, rather than just being able to plug a normal SSD into it or something? I don't know.
Well, I did hear a few rumors going around. Again, this is rumors because there's no sort of like firm plans for the PS6 and Helix, but a few people have been saying if the RAM and the storage prices continue, that actually you may well find that the only way they're going to get those consoles into our hands is by actually releasing them with way smaller memories in them. So where you would have bought a 1 terabyte PlayStation now, the most you'll be able to buy is a 512, if not less.
It's 10 gig.
And then if you want more storage, then you have to buy more storage to go on it. I mean, it doesn't matter here. I mean, as we've said in this podcast before, I've got 2.5 gig down, 2.5 gig up. So I could download a full copy of like Call of Duty in like 20 minutes. So it doesn't really matter to me as long as I've got enough room on the machine to play it. But that's the other thing. I mean, the other thing I saw again, it was the Mr. Who's the Boss video, which was the real concerning one, which he had I can't remember the name of the game now, but he had a PlayStation behind him and he was talking about, look, this is an example of, why stopping physical media is bad in the gaming world. Now, in the film world, the difference between prices of movies and movies being able to come on Netflix if you don't want to buy them new. So, like for instance, what was it who came out the other day? The Michael Jackson movie, Michael, and I'm like, it came up on my Kaleidoscope for £20. So that's a digital version of the actual original movie. And I'm like, you know what? I'll watch it when it comes to Sky because I have Sky Movies. So I had that option to do that. But on this Mr. Who's the Boss video, he showed a PlayStation game, which he said it's been out for a year or two, I think he said. And he said it's a really good game. If I can remember it, I'll find it. I'll put it up on the screen here. But PlayStation are still selling it for $59.99, I think it was. And then he went to your favourite website and he said, I could buy a physical copy of this game from Computer Exchange for 99p.
It's mad, isn't it?
So, and
it's crazy.
So you get rid of that physical disc or get rid of the way of even playing that physical disc, even if it's backwards compatible. You've got your PS6, but it's a PS5 game, but you can't actually physically play it. You've got to spend £50 or £59 more to play that game rather than just. And I've had it. Ghost of Yotai, I bought on a disc because I wasn't sure about it. I sold it on. You rented it. There's other games I've bought. What was it? It was something like I can't think of the game what it's called now, but I was really enjoying it. And annoyingly, I came onto it about 3 days before it finished off of Dead Space, before it finished off Game Pass. So I bought it on Amazon for like $10.99 or $6.99. I had that option to buy it as a physical version and carry on playing it. That's, I think, where this whole thing falls down in the eyes of them. They want you to buy it at full price. They don't want you to lend it to a mate, and they don't want you to buy it cheaper.
And the only way that they could correct it, which I say correct it, but obviously if they're not going physical, is if you could rent them or you buy the license to it, basically. So like you don't pay whatever, or you pay 60 quid for it, let's say. You pay for it full whack, you pay it for 2 weeks and go, do you know what, I'm done with it. And you get some sort of credit back. You know, they say, well, you've played it this many hours, we'd probably value that at 20 quid or 40 quid. We'll give you 20 or 40 quid back as credit for something else in future in store, rather than just as an outright refund. Then at least you're getting something back for it tangible. Do you know, like you would if you bought it and traded it? Like you say, you could buy it and sell it on. They'll never do that, of course, because like you say, they want you to buy it for full whack because they're abundantly aware that Computer Exchange are selling it for rock bottom price and people aren't buying it from them. So I don't think that would ever happen, but that would be a way to correct it, I guess, and I wouldn't necessarily be anti that. And especially if the games come with smaller hard drives, if you just basically installed a small portion of the game as a license to prove that you owned it, and then the rest was done in the background by cloud or what have you. Again, I wouldn't necessarily be anti it because I've got the facility to do that with the internet, but I appreciate some people wouldn't.
I think they've got to find a way. I think they're going to have to because, one, if we talk about job losses, platforms like Computer Exchange, platforms like some traders on Amazon and eBay who specialize in buying and selling secondhand things, those businesses are going to die because it's all going digital. We've already seen it. We used to be able to walk into eBay, we used to be able to walk into Game, we used to be able to walk into HMV, and it would be piles and piles of Xbox and PlayStation games, and that's now replaced by Funko Pops and all those types of things. So I think you're going to get to see it, but I do think that we come on to an Xbox story which does solve it slightly ish. But I think they've got to come up with something because I think there's going to be such a backlash, and people aren't going to. It's a spiral. People are not going to buy a game because they'll wait for it to come on to Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, which it will. So they'll carry on playing their monthly revenue, which obviously PlayStation will like. But that means they're not going to buy the new game. They're not going to recoup that money. They're going to jump in and play Gears of War for a month and pay £20 for it instead of paying 70, 80, £90 for it. I think they've got to find a way whereby you could sell that copy on once digitally by creating a key or something like that. I mean, Nintendo have got something similar, but then I found out the other day that a lot of Nintendo games now come in with a physical cartridge in the box, but there's actually nothing on the cartridge. You still got to put the cartridge in your machine, but then you've got to download it with the code that's in the box with the cartridge.
It's pointless.
Yeah, so
it's an illusion.
I think, as I said on this podcast before, I think we're in another cross-platform playing. Years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, might be even been when we were doing the podcast, we were talking about being able to play Fortnite so PlayStation and Xbox and PC playing together, and none of us ever believe that will happen. I think we're in another, an AI bubble like the .com bubble. I think we're in another cross-platform bubble. I think if we're gonna go diskless, I think we're gonna have to find a way to be able to sell it on or part exchange it or something like that, because otherwise I think it's going to put an even bigger nail in the coffin of what we do, unless, like Steam, you buy the games at a massive discount, or you end up buying $6.99 games or $19.99 games. I ain't gonna buy $69.99 games hand over fist just to play them. I will wait until they come down in price. If they don't come down in price, I ain't gonna play it. I just won't play it.
I'm trying to think of the last time I actually bought something outright when it first came out. And I bought my Lego Batman, but that were reduced on Amazon, so that were £45.
And that was quite quick after, wasn't it?
Yeah, that wasn't long after it released. But I'll do GTA because it's GTA,
and it's never going to get discounted,
and it'll never reduce in price. But I generally can't remember the last time I paid full RRP for a game, because why would you? Like in this current climate, why would you?
And the thing is, it just comes back to bite you on the arse. Red Dead Redemption for me, I bought the premium edition, spent £109 on it. Complete waste of time for me. Did not like it. Assassin's Creed Shadows, exactly the same. Bought the best version of it with the DLC and all that lot. Just did not get into it. It did not, it did not draw me in. I will go back and play it. I know I will with that one. But again, that was what, 70, 80, 90 pounds down the drain. You just can't afford to do that, not when all your other living expenses are so expensive.
Yeah, no way. And your console's 3 times more expensive.
Exactly. So right, we'll put that one to bed. We'll bury that disc, and then we'll get on to a more motivational, more positive story from you, Steve.
Yeah, so do you know, Stu, how you find this really cool thing when you're watching like a TV show or a movie and it gets a really good point and it throws an advert at you. Do you know how you really like that?
Oh, I love it.
Well, how would you like your video games?
Oh, I can't wait. I just love it when I'm at a real key point in a YouTube video or something on TV, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be. Oh, hold on a second. There's an advert for sanitary towels comes in front of me.
Yeah. So do you know when you're just about to like finish a race, or you're just about to overtake somebody in Forza, and then boom, like you say, there's a Domino's advert or like Nando's or something like. Yeah, that's going to be great, isn't it? Well, yeah, well, Sony's doing that. Well, I say doing that, but they're expanding their sort of program and progress into looking into it. So Sony are trying to look at monetizing through adverts in games. So there's not really necessarily much about how that will work, but there's been a series of job listings at Sony, and they're clearly accelerating the sort of like their advertising strategy or ways to monetize and advertise within video games, which again is a massive concern because, I mean, we've mentioned it by looking at news articles just for this podcast. People have to make money, I get that, but like websites are just 99% adverts. It absolutely riles me that I pay an Amazon Prime membership and I still get adverts. Like the fact that I have to pay for that and then have to pay again if I want advert free is like insane. I get it on like ITV Player, because I'm using the free version. Same with Netflix. You can get a Netflix free. You can get one with no adverts. I get Disney as part of Sky with adverts. Fine, because it's included. I'm not going to pay extra to get rid of the adverts. I'm not bothered about that. But when I'm paying for something, and especially when I'm paying for a video game, I don't want adverts in that. Like you said, I've paid 50, 60 quid for this. Like, oh yeah, we'll have 3 minutes of adverts before you start your game. No. Like, absolutely not. Like, it's the fact that it's even a thing is, and you could say maybe, well, if they included brands in video games, maybe that's the advertising, maybe. Like Fortnite clearly does it by having the licensed stuff in it. But yeah, to actually have adverts in video games to me is just that would be the absolute final thing for me of like, no, absolutely not happening.
I think if you're going to give a free version of it in respects of, like, I know Xbox are looking at it as well. If you're going to give a free version of it on an Xbox, or a free version of Game Pass on Xbox, a free version of PlayStation Plus on a PlayStation, then okay, yeah, put adverts on it. You know, yes, make them watch a few minutes of adverts, a bit like Netflix, not for Netflix, YouTube does. As soon as they start putting them in the middle of the game, that's when it's like, hold a second. If you're going to show me an advert between loading levels, well, that's the whole reason that we have these super duper consoles, is that we don't have to have those levels loaded anymore. So I finish my game in Forza and then I've got to watch a 2 minute advert before I go back and can play another one. That's going to get me to rage throw my console out the window. But like you
Mm-hmm.
do with Amazon, it will be, well, you don't have to have this. You can pay that X amount of money a month and then trade up. Um, I saw a thing on LinkedIn the other week, which was Samsung advertising to businesses about putting their business on uh Samsung platforms. So like advertise your business across Samsung's platforms. We have whatever 20 million TVs out there globally, or more than that, 20 million TVs out there globally, and when that person turns that TV on, you could see your advert on the home screen when they go and watch their apps. And I just put on there, when this is the exact reason that as a custom integrator of this industry for 20 years, I do not support or sell or install Samsung TVs, because it's just like, I don't want to put that in front of my client. And if I do put that in front of my client, I'm going to get the one who comes back and goes, hold a second, you sold me this thing, is giving me all these bloody adverts because I can watch TV. And I understand they've got to find a more cost effective way of doing it, but they've got to just be really, really careful, because this is going to be another thing that is going to stop people from doing it, or pirate stuff so they don't have to watch it. They just get the pirate version of it.
Yeah, and this is the thing, obviously, like you say, with the whole, the cost of it, and then obviously digital, and then this as well. There's a lot stacked against people having a reason to buy the console. So just adding this to the list is not going to do themselves any favor. Like you say, with Game Pass, that you do a massively reduced one, and there's adverts between whatever sections. I don't know how they integrate it or implement it. But say, like you said, with Disney Plus being with Sky, for me, like, well, yeah, I'll watch adverts. So I'm not paying for this. They were saying with Game Pass, if I said, well, I'm paying you a fiver a month, let's say, for a basic subscription, and before I start this game, I have to watch 3 minutes worth of adverts. Well, that game costs $40 or 40 quid. Well, do you know what? For 3 minutes, it's actually not that bad. So again, I guess it's all down to integration. Nothing can be mid-game. Nothing can be during the game. It could be before and after. Your play session, you've got 3 minutes before, you've got 3 minutes afterwards, but that's only in sort of these limited or reduced packages. I probably won't be anti that, but yeah, it's all down to integration and timing. Do you know what I mean? This is the whole thing. This is all coming out at the same time, practically, as everything else, to make you go, I ain't gonna buy another console. So it's like, I think it's all down to implementation and timing to make it. Well, do you know what? Yeah, it's gonna cost me a bit more, but I'm gonna buy this console because I need it. Well, as it stands, well, no, I don't really. So I'm not actually going to buy it.
Yeah, I was just sorry. I was just searching something. I'm just going to try and see if I can find it. Because the other thing I sort of think about is, can we? There we go. Apple generated at least $40 million from brand sponsorships and product placements for fictional teams featuring. Sorry, for the fictional team featuring actual real life sponsors in the F1 movie. So for Apple put in Mercedes, IWC, which is the watch, EA, in the film, they generated $40 million. So if we look at the games we play, okay, it's going to be a little bit hard with Final Fantasy and Elder Scrolls and things like that. But let's go back to my penchant at the moment, Forza Horizon. If you put advertising around Tokyo, if you look at Grand Theft Auto, you put billboards around the city. If you look at ways you could implement product placement into a film, the character goes into a bar in GTA and asks for a drink. They're given a Monster or Stella or a Budweiser. There's so many ways that they could put product placement into it that could actually, if they work a little bit harder to try and put it into the game sympathetically, they could still earn a load of money through it, in the same way Apple did with the revenue in the F1 movie. So it's possible to do it. I think for me, I pay, was it $7.99 a month for YouTube Premium Lite. I don't pay for YouTube Premium because I don't use YouTube Music. I don't really need to download it and take it with me. So I pay $7.99 because I don't want the adverts in the middle of my YouTube video. But if I have to watch a video before I start a game, fine. If I have to watch a video when I end the game, fine. Before I'm allowed to turn it off. But if it's then between levels, I'll give you an example. I went to London last week and I had to go somewhere I've not been before on the London Underground. So I opened up the Tube app that I've got, which allows you to look at the map for about 30 seconds before it shows you an ad, which lasts for about 5 minutes, it feels like. I tried to do this 3 or 4 times. And I don't get me wrong, I understand they have to make money. I get it. I got so fed up, I just Googled London Underground map and then just looked at the picture that Google brought me up in the end. Because I just wanted to make sure that how many stops on the Northern Line it was when I needed to get off. But it got to the point where I just didn't use the app because it was so bloody annoying. And I think unless we're careful with our electronics, people will stop using our TVs or the inbuilt services on the TV. People will stop buying and using games consoles if all they're done is being bombarded with ads all the time.
Yeah, if you can't use it for its fundamental purpose, then what's the point? Do you know what I mean? And I kind of have a bit of a beef with Spotify with that, on a separate tangent, where like, if you don't pay for premium, you get adverts, fine, but then you can't play albums in order. It's all shuffled and you have to play playlists. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Sure, there's some sort of like regulation that means I can still fundamentally use it, like YouTube. I can still use it for free. Or do you know what I mean? But if I have 5 songs in an advert and I can't skip, fine. But then to not play the songs in the order of an album or choose to play an album, well, you're forcing me to pay for that service now. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I know adverts are there to design for all people get sick of it and pay it. But like you say, you need that convenience of that app to find where I'm going. Well, if I can't do that, I'm not going to use the app. Like you say, that's Google. That's when you use AI, for Christ's sake, to say, get me to this location, and it will give you a step-by-step breakdown of how to get from this tube station to that station, and that app is then defunct. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, they need the revenue, I get that, but if you can't just log on and do what you need to do with it, well, bye, off in the bin you go. Like, that's it, gone.
And you know what's really funny is the next story I'm going to tell you about is on the worst website in the world, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to video games, which is VGC, Video Games Chronicle. So I've gone to that website to read one of their stories that one of their journalists has written, but I can't actually see the story because I've got a massive full screen advert for Wrigley's Extra Plus chili flavored chewing gum.
I mean, you've been looking at chili flavored chewing gum, Stu. Clearly, you've been eyeing this product up for days. Clearly, so the algorithm has done its job.
It's done its job beautifully, again, I understand. But do I? I'm going to start my ragey bait now. I understand, but do I need 1, 2, 3, 4 adverts for $5 on the same screen at the same time? So if I could be bothered, I'd go and find this article somewhere else. But do you know what? I'm not even going to tell you who wrote this article. I'm just going to basically just steal their content for our podcast. Xbox.
That'll teach them.
Xbox disc to digital feature could be coming as soon as this month, according to leaked documents. Actually, I'm going to give this story to Jez Corden because I know he said it before. I just didn't look at the fantastic website, which is Windows Central. Anyway, so Xbox, if you don't know this, Xbox are looking at creating a digital format, so a disc to digital feature. So where basically you can take your older discs like we've been talking about, and then you can basically rip those into a digital version and then play that on your discless consoles. I had heard from the Xbox 2 podcast that I think Jez has said that it was potentially looking at coming in July, but I think that's now moved forward to August, but being, quite imminent that actually it will be rolled out soon, according to reports on The Verge. And apparently there has been a public beta for the program taking place in July before the rollout this month. I mean, this is sort of like going, I think, to where we need to go with this in respects of if we've got a physical version of, let's say GTA, GTA 5, if we've got a physical version of GTA 5 and we want to rip that and put that into our Helix or our PlayStation 6, this is the way I think we could go with it. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how they do it, whether they sell hardware for it, how exactly it happens. But for me, it is a bit of a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it because I'm just intrigued to see how it actually works and how it's actually tied to the account. But it's just further down. It says that obviously the digital license that you get by doing it is tied to the disc, and that will automatically transfer over if then you give it to somebody else or if you sell it on. So obviously there has to be something somewhere that means you can't just then, like you said, sell it on eBay and then be like, ha, you can't do anything with that now. So yeah, it is kind of a half step or a baby step, like you say, in the right direction, is it? Because at least you've got the ability to still sell it on, and that the next person doesn't have to say, "Well, have you deleted it? Have you, unauthorized it?" Blah blah. It will just automatically transfer over, which is good and the right way to do it. So yeah, so it's a step in the right direction, I guess.
Could you go the other way? Thinking about going ahead to the future, if you have to buy a physical disc of a game, could you see a future whereby you buy a drive, a generic Blu-ray ripper drive or something like that, which you connect to your console, and then it will allow you to download a key to that game, let's say. It's not maybe the whole game, but you could download the key that you bought for that game to a disc or to an SD card or something like that, which you then can sell on or give to a friend, which means that that key has moved from your console to whoever puts that in the next console. And then maybe that's limited to one move or multiple moves. So that could be a way. You you download the key to an SD drive, and then I give my copy of uh, Forza Horizon 7 to you on the SD card. You put that in, and that automatically deletes it from my side and authorizes it to your side.
But it is that there are options and ways around it, aren't there? Do you know what I mean? So it's like if these things are done cleverly and conveniently, then it's probably going to be more accepted or more widely accepted by people than just an outright, now I'm taking your discs off you. Oh no, I'm doing this and doing that. Da, da, da. So, like you say, I'm not altogether against having just stick a disc in to authorize that this is my copy, or rips 20% of games on disc and 80% digital, because obviously an entire game's not going to fit on a
Yeah.
physical disc soon anyway. So yeah, I'm not anti that, but obviously it's just the whole question of the hard drive storage, I guess. You can't just simply whiz it in and whiz it out if you need to download part of the game, I guess. But yeah, to me, that's the first step of that general direction rather than an outright sort of loss of discs. But even then, we say that, but we've still seen reports that Helix won't come with a disk drive, so that's only applicable for now. For like the here and now of it, not for the next. In the sort of coming 2, 3, 4 years, maybe, subject to when the next console comes
So
out.
in the same way that Sony are saying that they're not budging on ended discs, Xbox are saying that they're going to bring a disc to digital feature. That is almost like 99.9% sure that at the moment Helix and PS6 are discless consoles.
1000%. It's almost a bit like a sort of clandestine way of sort of like, no, we're not going to do that because look what we're doing. But then people might not necessarily think of the future of, well, they've not said out about the disk drive for the Helix, thinking, oh, it'll be fine. And then boom, it doesn't have a disk drive. So it's almost a bit like maybe a slightly underhanded way of approaching it, I guess. But
I can see us sitting there watching the reveal for the next console. We'll be sitting there going, oh, here we go. Oh, a Helix. Oh, it looks gorgeous. And you're just waiting for it to move to one side to go. And it comes with the portable drive if you want to buy that extra, like Sony did. And you'll be sitting there going, oh, it's diskless. Oh, it's got whatever, this, that, how many teraflops. And then all of a sudden it ends and you're just like, okay, then yeah, that's it. There is no physical version of it, and we're all going to be digital. Now, again, going back to me, doesn't bother me in respects of I buy all my stuff digitally anyway. However, if I was to buy a PlayStation now, if I was to buy an Xbox now, I'd still buy the disc version because I like having the flexibility of jumping on computer exchange or eBay or Amazon and buying something that I potentially want to try, like Final Fantasy. I want to try Final Fantasy. I'm not going to buy it digitally because it's going to cost me X. I'll just pick up a secondhand copy that Joe Blogs is selling and I'll give it a whirl, because what's the worst? I just send it back or sell it again.
It's the choice, isn't it? It's the loss of the choice of the option, isn't it? That's the big part.
So to end this podcast on a very, very cheery note, EA is getting worse. Xbox and PlayStation are stopping giving you physical media. There's some guy trying to sell a £200 game, which is rubbish. And all of our devices are going up by 33 to 45%. What's wrong with this world? It's a brilliant place.
Yeah, I know. With that, it's like we might as well just stop, aren't we, at this point? Because it's just getting worse, isn't it? It's getting worse every time we record.
And I'm going to go and fill the van up tomorrow, and it's £1.80 a litre again. Hey! Woohoo!
Yeah. We could just got to get to a point where we just cut the news out, because it's just, what's the point? There's no good news, so we'll just leave it be. We will leave it.
I think
alone.
so. We're 1 hour and 50 minutes of recording, so I think what we need to do is we need to play a load of games between now and the next podcast in 2 weeks. So we literally just talk about playing games for 1 hour and 45 minutes. Probably about how I've still not done my wheel spins, and I'm now up to
there's 1,000 wheel spins.
2,000 wheel spins. So, but anyway, Steve, on that cheery note, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast tonight. If people want to find you on socials, on Xbox, PlayStation, wherever you are, while you still got the consoles, how can they find you?
So I'm pretty much SteakArter91 everywhere: PlayStation, Xbox, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. No, not TikTok. SteakArter1991 on TikTok, but I'm pretty much posting pretty much on the Lost Spark account on TikTok anyway, so I don't really post on my own TikTok page. But yeah, if you search SteakArter91 in any available search engine or Instagram or social channel, my face will probably pop up somewhere.
If you also go to Google and type Halo Combat Evolved dying a lot social media, then you'll find him that way as well.
Top 20 results.
Easy top 20. You'll find me on social media as @Mr. Stuart Burgess, and on Xbox, but on PlayStation, but mainly Xbox, I'm General Letdown, and I'm usually playing Forza Horizon 6. And if anybody can teach me how to drift, please reach out, because I'm really bad at it.
Like me sucking at Halo, we need you to do like a live stream of you trying to drift, so we can make content for that as well.
That is a really jeffing good idea. I might have to do that. I might have to just... I've been sort of toying with the idea of doing some type of stream, which is like when I get to the point of like completing the whole game, or certain sort of like getting that last achievement or whatever, to so I've 100%ed, doing a bit of a live stream or a recording of me doing it. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do a how bad Steve dies in Halo stream, but we've done 3 of those already. Or how bad is Stuart drifting? Please, can someone help him? That's a bloody good idea.
Yeah, we'll have a competition. Who's worse at what game?
Who gets the most views? There you go. Who gets the most views? Yeah. Excellent. Well, if you've got any feedback for the show, please reach out to us at hello@gamersoflostspark.com, or scan the QR code that's going to be somewhere around about here. I can't remember, the video's backwards, or click on the link in the description. But Steve, thank you very much for joining me. Enjoy playing Halo, and I'll see you on the next podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you, mate. Appreciate it as always. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you hopefully in a couple of weeks' time.
Definitely. Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Bye-bye. Here's 10 gig.